It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, I'm back in the studio, back from Chicagoland. Last week, I had a great time with my good friends at Impact Networking and Dot Security. I attended the Impact Networking Dot Security all-company meeting, and of course, Thursday last week on Navy Pier, the event called Optimized that Impact Networking and Dot Security put on every year. What a fantastic event this was, folks. I'm going to do a separate episode on that experience later this week. Today's episode is regarding Toshiba. We got to keep up with these first quarter results, right? Toshiba posted their results. They did lose money. There was a headline that said, Toshiba, surprised they lost money. Like it was a surprise that Toshiba lost money. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you surprised? That place has been mismanaged for like 2 years. I mean, it's a mess over there. The drama within the Toshiba board is, I mean, they could do a series. It's crazy. And we keep reading about it and reading about it. You know, there was an article written not too long ago, and I think I even mentioned it on the end of the day with Ray. But it was, you know, regarding, will it take the ruthlessness of private equity to clean up the Japanese conglomerates? Will it take the ruthlessness of private equity to clean them up? And I'm pretty convinced it probably will. I'm convinced it probably will. Things have to change, right? Especially from the print OEMs. I mean, the lack of consolidation is just absurd at best. The amount of money our friends over at Konica Minolta continue to be losing. What was it, 27 months? They lost almost $400 million. So, folks, there has to be some changes, obviously, right? Let's jump on the Sharp Interactive board. I put a PowerPoint presentation together regarding Toshiba. I want to start out by saying this. You know, it was Niccolo Machiavelli back in the 1513s, and he was the Italian that wrote the handbook for the prince. He wrote the handbook for the prince. And, you know, and he said back there in 1513 that the princes of his day did not lose their power through misfortune. The princes of his day lost their power through indecisiveness and inaction. And folks, when I look at some of the OEMs, and when you start reading about their boards and their management styles, I believe they're going to lose their fortunes. They're going to lose their powers through indecisiveness and inaction. That's what's going to happen. I believe they're way too conservative to take the bold, necessary actions to move the game and change the needle. I put this slide together, and I want you all to look at this. It's a picture of a bulldozer tearing down a fictitious Toshiba Tech building in my mind. You know, you can see the sign falling down. And I'm thinking, is it time for the bulldozer? Everybody go back in time and think about Blockbuster with me. After Blockbuster met with Netflix, they still went out there and built retail locations after they met with Blockbuster. What if instead they got in their own bulldozers and tore down those retail centers and started delivering the future? What if they were driving their own bulldozer? And I would say the same thing regarding Toshiba and Toshiba Tech. Isn't it time to deconstruct some of the Toshiba Tech business model so that they can focus on the part of the model that I believe has a sustainable future, has a future that's relevant, has a future of continuous relevance that could probably be valuable? But let's be honest, the Workplace Solutions Group over there at Toshiba, print, document management, I mean, really? We need more of this? This is a $1.3 billion division, folks, with inside Toshiba Tech. Print, it's like $1.3 billion for the whole year. I said this a while back. It'd be like taking a few mega dealers here in the United States. You'd be at your $1.3 billion. That's a global number. I believe it's a total distraction from what the Retail Solutions Group could be doing. Retail Solutions Group. Think about it. We've all gone through those registers without a cashier. That's what they're doing. We can all imagine how that business will grow and change. It's relevant. The POS stuff is relevant. Wouldn't Toshiba Tech be better off to just focus on that and just get rid of this? A while back, I suggested that Ricoh just gobble up Toshiba Tech. Go to the conglomerate and say, give us Toshiba Tech. Because, you know, Ricoh, they could get the bulldozer out and completely eliminate that print business. It wouldn't need any of it. They wouldn't need any of it, but it'd be ruthless. But do we not need some ruthlessness right now? Because obviously, we're in a declining market, and we got an OEM out there, Toshiba, talking about document management and cloud printing. And they're going to grow this 1.3 billion business to what, 2 billion? Are you kidding me? It's time that Toshiba Tech really, I believe, started thinking about things realistically. It's time for some ruthlessness. Either deconstruct that thing yourself and build out a really strong retail platform that makes sense, or I believe what's going to happen is the Workplace Solutions Group is going to rob all the profit from the Retail Solutions Group. And eventually, it's going to stifle its growth. Let's look at the numbers. So here we go, folks, and you can find this on their website. It's all out there, right? Top line revenue for Toshiba, the conglomerate, was $5.5 billion. I've translated that into dollars, so that's $5.5 billion. Top line. Their profit was a $36 million loss. So $5.5 billion total profit, $36 million loss. That was the Toshiba conglomerate. Let's look at our friends over at Toshiba Tech, and we know that Toshiba conglomerate owns 51% of Toshiba Tech, right? So if we look at the top line revenue for the Retail Solutions Group for the quarter that just ended, it's $477 million, and the Workplace Solutions Group is $351 million. The Workplace Solutions Group had an operating profit of $982,000. Not a lot, barely above anything, right? Look at this. Our friends over here in the Retail Solutions had $542,000 profit. Something going on, right? Let me just share some of my thoughts. If you go to the same quarter the year before, the Workplace Solutions Group had a $1 million loss and pretty much the same amount of revenue, not much more, right? The increase in revenue is probably because of the yen, the weakness in the yen. It's not like they sold anymore. The weakness in the yen gave more revenue. But if you think about it, a quarter of the year ago, they lost $1 million. This quarter, right now they're in, they made $982,000. Kind of a big turnaround based on the same revenue. But look at this. Retail Solutions Group, again, about the same revenue. Went down a little bit. But a year ago, they were $25.5 million profit. And now they're $542,000 profit. What happened? Was the Work Solutions Group pulling some costs out of this group? I'm just asking a question, because it just seems to be kind of weird. Because I got a lot of hope for the Retail Solutions. I don't have a whole lot of hope for the Workplace Solutions. So maybe you guys cut some costs, did some things, but at the end of the day, it's still not enough to write home about. You know, total profit was $1.5 million on $830 million in total sales between the two units. So folks, I mean, think about it. In 2021 fiscal year, for 2021, that group, this whole Toshiba Tech did $3.3 billion in revenue. Okay? Retail Solutions was $2 billion. Workplace Solutions was $1.3 billion. It's not a big company when you think about it, especially this print piece. $1.3 billion, it's not that big. If Toshiba Tech could get rid of just the workplace, maybe they sell that off to somebody. There's probably somebody out there to buy that up. If you wait too much longer, they're not going to give you anything for it. But at the end of the day, does it not make sense for Toshiba Tech to really start focusing on the retail part of that business? I believe it does. Does Toshiba Tech, with a $1.3 billion print business, if you will, have the ability to grow that thing into something remarkable in a declining marketplace? Are you going to sell more document management than the rest of the folks? It's just, these are tough questions, folks, but at the end of the day, we got to have some realism going on, right? Because realistically, we're having a race for the first quarter biggest losers. We know Konica won the biggest loser for the quarter by far. They crushed it. They had $1.8 billion in top line revenue, and they lost $81.7 million in their first quarter. Our friends over at Toshiba, to repeat, $5.5 billion top line revenue. They lost $36 million. You know, when I was putting that slide together, I started thinking to myself, it's a good thing that Konica Minolta didn't do $5.5 billion in sales, because their percentage of losses would be off the chart. Folks, the bottom line is, these people our industry, the print sector, they're not going to sell their way out of this mess. They have to manage their way out of this mess. They have to be able to get into the bulldozer and then do what they got to do to deconstruct what's obsolete or quickly heading to obsolescence. Wouldn't it make more sense for the industry to drive its own bulldozers than to have those bulldozers hired by the liquidation teams? Folks, a lot of things have to change in our industry. But I truly believe that the OEMs, they have to be stronger. They have to fight for a continuous relevance. They have to shake these boards up. I think they're way too conservative to do what needs to be done to take this industry in a new direction. They're way too conservative. And during these times we're in right now, it's not going to be won with conservative thinking. It's going to be won by those who can imagine what could be based on what should be. Because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.